So let's say 50% of the time use the treat, and 50% of the time don't use the treat.
And if you're not going to use treat, you have to make it worth the dog's while, so you really load up on the praise.
Diamonds.
You could give it a try.
Coach bags, you know, something like that. It's a girl dog.
I don't know if
it's a boy
Fluffy's
dog.
into that stuff.
No, he's not. Well, then again, you know, boy dogs, you know, Mustangs, something like that. Now, can you give some pointers on how to regain charge of our dogs? This has been a big problem I've heard with people.
Yes.
They have no control of the dog.
There's Barkbusters takes a holistic approach. If your dog is barking, we don't just tell you put a bark collar on him. We have to figure out, well, what's causing the problem? Now, sometimes there will be things going on that either I don't see because the owner doesn't think it's a problem, or that the owner is purposely hiding from me.
Yes, because he's embarrassed to say, look what I did. I'm a screw up. You know, I'm not a good owner.
And people
He doesn't want to face.
And the thing with dogs is dogs are great people trainers. They train us actively and passively.
Oh.
Active, everybody knows the active stuff. Jumping up, barking,
Yeah.
mouthing.
Well, Fluffy has trained me to open up doors for him. You know, let him in, let him out, get up in the middle of my sleep. I mean, I get broken sleeps. I hear him scratching at the door. It's, you know, what am I going to do? I don't know if it's the wrong thing to let him out or the right thing. I mean, he has to go to the bathroom. What could I do?
It depends on the situation, but usually if you have a situation that is normally recurring over and over again,
Right.
you got to try to put together a plan to deal with it and basically make a fake situation, set it up. The doorbell is a very common problem for most people.
Yes.
The doorbell rings, the dog either gets extremely excited or sometimes aggressive.
Okay.
Either way, trying to get the dog desensitized to the doorbell by practicing
You
fake,
show
pressing
something.
the
Can we do
doorbell.
a simulated doorbell now situation where what you should do, because we did it the other day when you came for the training, and you told me I was very good at it. Okay.
The idea
Can
is...
we simulate something now?
Yeah, basically practicing, and this is hard for people who live alone, but you could also get a bell from Home Depot, and it's the remote with with the battery. The idea would be to ring the doorbell and try to see if you can get your dog's focus on you immediately. So when the dog wants to run to the doorbell, the big thing is no one should be going to the door right away.
It's about you, not the doorbell.
Right, try to get the dog focused on you by using different voice tones.
Now,
you can use treats at times as well.
Now, what about that thing you have?
Oh, the funny little green bag.
The funny little green bag. Maybe the camera can pick up the.
This is what we
It's
call
a weighted
this.
bag.
It's a training aid. It has
Let's
just
see
a
if
little
we
bit of metal in there, about that big.
It shakes.
Now this
But
this by itself means nothing.
Yeah, it's if the camera can. It basically is a little round thing, and it's weighted, and it's you throw it down, and the dog kind of it startles the dog. All right, you want to talk about it?
And generally, when you use something like this, you have to be smart about it. Puppies will see this and chase it. So we don't use this for every dog. Some dogs are very afraid of noises, so we don't use this.
Fluffy doesn't chase it. He just responds to it. Okay, so the bell's ringing.
And this is not a quick fix. Anytime we have a situation, we have to sort of plot out how we're going to fix it. So the idea would be knock on the door, doorbell. The idea would be generally we would use something that we know that gets the dog's attention. Sometimes you could take a different approach and rattle a treat jar and get the dog to look at you that way. But the idea is using what you know that will get your dog's attention, and you have to do it quickly.
Something to get his attention quickly.
You have to do it quickly, and you have to use a change in tone. You can't just go, Sadie, Sadie, Sadie. It's basically, Sadie, hey, honey. The idea is using different voice tones. It's not what you say, it's really how you say it.
Right.
And, I'm oversimplifying a little bit, but the idea is you try to get your dog's focus on you, and you have to practice it. If you only try to control your dog when you get a surprise UPS delivery, it won't work because she'll be too focused on the door.
All right, so let's say ring the bell, and the dog's going to go, "Rrrr." Okay, you're going to throw, you had taught me, let's say the bell is 7 feet from where we're sitting. So I'm throwing this down so that Fluffy realizes this is the spot he has to stop. And say,
yeah, I would be careful about, but using anything like that. Like I've actually shown you how to do it, but it would be something that people, I would want to be careful about trying to use something like that without actually someone there to show them how to do it. But what I would say the advice probably for now for your viewers would be focus on trying to get the dog to focus on you. Sometimes dropping a noisemaker on the floor works to get the dog to look.
Telephone book, a book.
Yeah, what you want to try to do is it's very important to use different voice tones for correcting and praising, getting the dog to focus on you and come away from the door. And ringing the doorbell several times without actually going to the door, because your dog is trying to beat you to the door. And they're going to want to greet who's ever there.
Why is the dog trying to beat you to the door?
Because they know that there's something going. Dogs learn by association, so they learn very quickly. A doorbell means guests, friends, family, or it may mean to some dogs, someone is invading my home.
Right,
So,
and they're protecting you.
So they may be protective. So the idea is you're trying to get your dog desensitized. So while the training aid can work in a lot of situations, sometimes it doesn't. It's not always the right way to go. So that's where what I try to do, really any trainer will try to help you try to figure out, well, what's causing the problem and how do we go 1 or 2 steps prior to when this problem happens and try to deal with it. It's basically setting your dog up.
What do you think about bringing the dog up to sleep with you at night? A lot of people want to bring the dog upstairs. They want to bring them up with the family
Into
or
the
whatever.
bedroom, sure.
Yeah, what do you think about that? A lot of people have asked me about that.
Yeah, the only thing one of the things you have to be aware of is sometimes, especially young dogs, will mark on the bed. In other words, toileting on the bed, so that usually...
Well, he was doing that like 6 months ago. He stopped, so now he wants to go to the bathroom.
What I would say usually, it's a good idea if if everyone's on board and everyone is okay with it, because you don't want it to be stressful. If you bring him up into the bedroom, if a dog is going to be allowed to sleep on the bed, they generally should not be aggressive with any family members. Very often,
if he's aggressive with any family members, then he shouldn't be allowed to go to the bed.
Yeah, it seems that very often the bed can be an issue for certain dogs. It's almost, in a way, it's kind of like they're elevated. It's almost, for lack of a better comparison, it's almost like they're on the throne. It's kind of like their bed and they're letting you sleep there. And most of the time when clients tell me they allow their dog to sleep in the bed,
the dog kind of pushes them off the bed.
Yeah, a little dog like this will take up half the bed.
I noticed
because
that.
They sprawl out.
I'm on the end of the bed.
Right.
And
so
I'm
it's kind of like it's their
falling off the
bed and they
bed.
allow you to sleep there. So the bed can be okay as long as my first concern is always I'll try to preserve as much of the client's relationship with their dog as possible. But if I see something is a potential problem, I'll try to give them my opinion and then.
Now also, I've heard that the first 2 years of puppying and training the puppy is the hardest. After that, you can get through that, guys, you can have a beautiful dog the rest of your life. So, that's what I did. I mean, I got through the first 2 really hard years of Fluffy. And believe me, it was hard. My house was like urination city. And I did everything, believe me. Sprays, this, that, the other thing. And now he doesn't do that. I neutered him. That made a difference. He was marking his territory. So don't give up the ship, because there's a lot you can do. And you can call Rob, and he can teach you a lot of things. Now, also biting.
Okay.
I really want to emphasize that I feel very bad that a lot of people want to give up dogs when they bite. I was speaking to someone once and said, that's it. He's a family dog for 20 years. He bit my grandson. We threw him out and had him killed. That broke my heart. What do you think of that? I mean, that was devastating to me.
Most people that I find when I talk to about situations like that know that while we love our dogs, they are not robots, they're animals. Any dog people will tell me my dog would never bite. People will say that to me.
Sure they will.
And what I say is that's unfair to say that to your dog, because that's saying that the dog
It's animal
is never,
behavior.
Yeah, that's saying that the dog will never get so upset that they feel like they need to protect themselves. And it's not really fair to the dog to say that. So it comes down to good parenting.